Hi, I'm Steven, and the client question I'm addressing in this presentation is, does stress cause obesity? If I were asked this question, I would first explain that there are many factors associated with obesity. Some of the causes of obesity are overeating, environmental factors, medications, family history, lack of exercise, genetics, and pregnancy. The factor that is most closely associated with obesity would be overeating because it may be a result of weight bias. It's important to note that stress is not the only cause of obesity. Psychosocial consequences. What is weight bias? Weight bias is defined as negative attitudes, beliefs, judgments, stereotypes, and discriminatory acts aimed at individuals because of their weight. It can be overt or subtle and occur in any setting, including employment, education, healthcare, mass media, and relationships with family and friends. So research has demonstrated mixed results regarding how weight bias affects people that are overweight or obese. The psychosocial repercussions of weight bias may significantly impair quality of life of obese in adults and children. It seems like the association between obesity and quality of life is mediated by the experiences of stigma and negative beliefs about obese people. Possible academic and socioeconomic consequences could be a result of weight bias, but like I said, the research has demonstrated mixed results regarding these findings. Coping with weight stigma, attempting to lose weight versus eating more food. Obese individuals may attempt to avoid weight stigma by engaging in weight loss attempts. In the study by Poe and Brownell, 2006, 63% of respondents reported coping with weight stigma by dieting. In contrast, some individuals may cope with negative emotional experiences by turning to food. So in the same study by Poe and Brownell, 2006, the respondents were able to answer for more than one. So a higher percentage, 79% of participants reported eating more in response to weight stigma, and 75% reported refusing to diet in response to weight stigma. I included a picture of a healthy eating plate because that's always a good starting point if somebody does want to make a change in their diet to better their diet. Coping mechanisms. So there's really four main types. Internalizing social stereotypes. So either weight loss attempts or turning to food or refusing to diet. Those are all examples of internalizing social stereotypes. Assertive coping. So that would be something like confronting the perpetrator or insulting back, making formal complaints, joining public social groups to combat the prejudice, and asserting body acceptance. Confirmation and compensation. Examples of that would be just behaving in ways consistent with the stereotypes, compensating through other means. Self-protection. That would be placing less value based on comments and people or avoiding the social interactions entirely. So this is just a figure of the pathways from stress to obesity. So it would start with stigma leading to stress, and then the stress has multiple effects either on cognition, physiology, biochemistry, behavior, resulting in obesity. Gender differences are that women are vulnerable to the obvious stigmatization of obesity. In this society, men are judged by what they can do and women by what they look like. So that is very general, but in my opinion, there is some truth to that concept. It is a compelling notion that these differences in developmental struggles lead to the uneven distribution of eating disorders in women. So body image distortion and dysmorphia, concomitants of obesity, are prevalent among women. Even those women who meet the criteria for normal body weight are still extremely critical of their bodies. Are there more susceptible people? A study by Van der Valk 2018 suggests a vicious circle where increased glucocorticoid action, obesity, and stress interact to amplify each other. Increased long-term cortisol levels, measured in scalp hair, are strongly related to abdominal obesity, but not all obese patients have elevated cortisol levels. So that's the reason why stress is not the only cause of obesity. Possibly the inter-individual variation in glucocorticoid sensitivity, which is partly genetically determined, which may be another reason or cause of obesity is genetics, that leads to higher vulnerability to stressors. So stress may play a major role in the development and maintenance of obesity, but it's definitely not the only cause. This slide is showing that vicious circle that I previously described. So increased glucocorticoid action and chronic stress and obesity are all interrelated and caused by individual characteristics such as genetics or physical disorders, unhealthy lifestyle, mental distress, medications, or possibly even intoxications. Comfort food. Glucocorticoids increase the expression of corticotropin-releasing factor (mRNA) in the central nucleus of the amygdala, a critical node in the emotional brain. Glucocorticoids increase the salience of pleasurable or compulsive activities such as ingesting sucrose fat and motivates the ingestion of comfort food. Dalman 2003 states that in stressed or depressed humans, chronic stress either induces increased comfort food intake and body weight gain or decreased intake and body weight loss. Depressed people who overeat have decreased cerebrospinal corticotropin releasing factor, catecholamine concentrations, and hypothalamo pituitary adrenal activity. In this figure, we see acute glucocorticoid feedback and chronic glucocorticoid feedback. In acute, the glucocorticoids act directly on the brain, and in chronic, the glucocorticoids act in response to metabolism. So people eat comfort food in an attempt to reduce the activity of the chronic stress network. In conclusion, stress is not the only cause of obesity. People that are stressed may be more susceptible to obesity, and some people are more vulnerable to obesity than others. But the take-home message from this presentation is that it all depends on the person and how they react. And finally, these are my 3 references. Thank you for viewing my presentation.